Hey everyone, happy Friday. It's a long weekend here, so we're not going to keep it too long. It's a nice one as well, so we want people to be able to get out and about. But we are, of course, talking the theme being gold as well as we move forward into the election. We're going to be talking really about stability, about inflation, about all of these things and the chaos that's going on. The title for our show today was gold surges above 2450, and it did. However, we're sitting back down. It's pulled back a little bit. So as of the second, we're at 24.29. And listen, that's what happens. I mean, if you're looking at the intraday or day-to-day trading of any commodity, you need to be watching it like every minute. But the weekly trend, the monthly trend, the yearly trends have been going in one direction long term. And we don't foresee that changing anytime soon at all. The embedded problems that are there. And on top of that, we see here, the jobs data report came back again. I think this is the sixth time in a row where they've revised down significantly. So this gaslighting about the economy being so stellar and so amazing, and because of jobs, and then ignoring all the money printed, where's that money gone to? It's frustrating because it's really kind of telling of the time that people used to be able to criticize a political party or those in power on the merits of the obvious truth. And now we have, and I'm not saying it's one side, both sides, have their own propaganda that they promote. But it's unfortunate that something that's quite obvious has to be misinformed and projected in a certain way by certain news outlets to promote an ideology. And that's not being ignored. People see through it. Maybe not everyone. Those who don't follow markets aren't quite aware. But we want to highlight it, not because of that, because of any political ideology, but because it's a good way to look at your entire portfolio. And although we never give advice, I'm happy to say what I do as someone who's worked at Merrill Lynch and has a background in it. We always stress that someone needs to have an advisor, consultant, someone to work with. And I think they're becoming much, much more amenable to the idea of gold, even though it doesn't pay a lot of commission. But as a component of one's portfolio, it certainly is a good, strong advantage. Whether it is you believe it's a hedge against inflation, whether you're looking at it as being possibly being backed along with Bitcoin for the US currency, which is being touted in a few articles lately, which I thought was interesting, or whether you think it's going to back the entire BRICS formation that's moving along rapidly. In whatever case scenario you see it, gold has a vital role to play. And once again, just to reaffirm, that doesn't mean we're taking anything away from Bitcoin or any crypto if that's what you love. And we certainly do want people that look at those as well to consider why governments, banks, Federal Reserves, why all these countries they're buying gold. They're not flocking to Bitcoin. There's a reason for it. And if you want to kind of hedge out both sides of that story, because you believe in freedom and you believe that markets are chaotic, the US dollar is going down, hey, maybe it's a good hedge to have both. And certainly as far as the disappointing jobs numbers, that highlights that, is that the economy is slowing down. And there is a huge distinction between the stock market having gone up because of the Magnificent Seven, which accounts for about, I think 25% of all gains, more than that. It's the significant big seven, big companies that are really doing well. The rest of the economy isn't really doing very well. And that, once again, there has to be an acknowledgement that is a fact. Inflation, we've talked about it on and on and on. I don't need to keep on going on about it. But I believe that we're gonna turn a corner soon, even though the U.S. has said that I think it's $35 trillion that their debt has now surpassed. These are unsustainable numbers. They just simply are, and it's always good to go back to flight of safety. And we're certainly starting to see that. A lot of people don't have time to get into this, to see this and the nuance of why gold. But those that know, they've been adding for a long period of time. And it's because of the situations we're in. And I don't see any of this changing or slowing down, regardless of whoever wins the next election. Things can certainly get a lot worse rapidly, but on the upside is that there's a lot of work to be done. And right now, along with the jobs report, there's the ongoing tensions with Russia. There's the ongoing tensions with China that won't really change either, whether it's a Trump administration or it's the Biden administration. Currently, there's tensions there, as there should be. We could simmer them down and we can work together. But that requirement of the West having its own supply chain, manufacturing its own goods and services to provide for its own stability and growth is critical. And that, China doesn't want to hear that, of course, because they were smart enough and intelligent enough to take a long-term approach and build out that manufacturing, that production, especially in the critical metals that are critical for any of the solutions moving forward. That any kind of green initiative is interested in, and they really hold the reins on that one. All the tensions in the Middle East, and we certainly aren't going to get into that, are rising tensions in a very, very harsh way as well. Of course, the death of the Hamas political chief, that has stirred Iran to vow retaliation. Of course, then Israel, stating that it's all but declared war, in the Middle East. It's cackles are up. It's certainly worried. Things are escalating. And I don't see that simmering down right now at any point. And all of this is very stressful. And I would point to a weak U.S. As being the main culprit of all of this. When you don't have the policing authority who's got strength, and you don't have stability, this is what happens. It's you see it in human nature. You see it all throughout history. If there isn't a power, one or two world powers dictating the stage, you have all of this openness to say, well, who's going to be the contender? And right now, believe me, there's a list of people trying to be contenders, and there isn't a response from the U.S. At all. And unfortunately, and certainly not from the West. I mean, Europe hasn't at all. We need to have a big shift, and that once again doesn't mean that we don't have trading partners and we don't try to cool relations and whatnot. But unfortunately now today, more than ever, politics is playing one of the critical roles in markets and investments. I mean, there's like policies in place to enforce investments, to restrict banks from lending money, to stop people from investing in certain things. That's never a good idea. I mean, you should incentivize people. You should educate them and to get them on your side. But whenever you start banning and stop, and that it never works. I mean, it can work for the short term, but it just means that you don't have a strong enough argument. You're unable to win people over because you just don't have the case scenario for it. And it's like anything in life. You're always better to attract with honey than to beat away with a giant stick. And right now, there's neither. There isn't enough cohesive plan out there. And that instability is reflected in so many markets, in the duality of a very weak economy in U.S. and Canada, huge inflation. Inflation's not coming back down to 2% anytime soon. I mean, I might be going out on an edge saying that, but I don't see it. And that's a great case scenario for precious metals. So tell me what you think. It's the summer. Meh. I mean, but it's not an exciting time for most people in the markets. And this also leads into all the gains that have been had in the AI sector. Let me know all of the incredible revenue that's been generated from this, where you think the case scenarios are going, or is there just a lot of hype? Has there been a lot that's actually come to fruition that's really changed anything? Or is it that we've, so far created lots of great tools. We've injected trillions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars into the sectors that the ultra wealthy, ultra rich already have. They certainly have done fine during the past 4 years with inflation rocketing. They don't have to worry about mortgage costs. They don't have to worry about much of anything. So tell me what your thoughts are. I'm certainly a middle of the road type of person on most things. I tend to be more the average person centric rather than what your billionaire, their concerns are. I'm not as interested in that. I know they have the power. I know they've got the money for all the advertising in the world and all the propaganda in the world. But let me know what you think. And if you think that the gold price surging as it has for the last years is a good reflection to that instability that's out there, both socially, politically, information wise. Let me know your thoughts. I'd love to hear it. And have a great long weekend here in Canada. It's a beautiful one, and we'll look forward to talking to you next week.